This is a severely underrated meal. Chicken Milanese, or however you want to say it, Chicken Milanese if you're from down here. They told me when I was at 100 Cooks that you eat with your eyes first. I'm a firm believer that you eat with your nose first, because when I walk into your house and I smell this cooking, I've already started eating. So one of the most important parts of a good Italian dish, if it involves chicken, is the chicken cutlet. I do a little bit of a cheat code here because instead of pounding this whole thing flat, I'm going to cut it in half first. Let's get these guys out of here. If they're thin, something like this one isn't hard to pound out. That one's poundable. This one, a little thick up top, but probably poundable. This one's on the borderline. It gets really thick. And then this one, there's no way that I could pound it flat. So for sure, that one's going to get cut. So let's start with the one that we can pound down. Just to kind of show you what we've got this chicken pounded down to a really super thin. I mean, it's about to come apart on the backside. And you've got just a really thin cutlet of chicken. That's the difference in a chicken cutlet and just, thin chicken. Now, my mama would get me if I didn't trim all this fat off of the chicken. She never left the fat on the chicken, so we'll take that off. I don't know what the Italians would think, but we're cooking for my mama here. Feel free to weigh in and tell me whether or not I'm supposed to be leaving that. There we go, good and trimmed up. Let's cut this one in half. For me, I just put my hand on the top and then I try to cut even with the cutting board, which means that it's going to get really thin, the same as the chicken breast did, on one end and still thick up at the top, but that this one will be completely even. Then we'll pound the thicker part of this top just to the thickness of whatever this is. So we'll never pound down here, only up here where it's fat. Now, cooking for YouTube isn't cooking for the whole family, so I'm gonna put some of these back so we can cook a little bit smaller of a batch here. Oh, what a beautiful cutlet right there. Beautifully pounded out, a little bit thinner. Now, the trick here isn't to pound the fire out of this thing. Obviously, if you smash it, it'll break. So small taps, kind of giving it the direction I want it to go, kind of driving it out away from my hammer, gets it good and flat. I can feel those high spots without breaking it to pieces. This chicken still holds together beautifully. It's still well held together, literally paper thin. I mean, you can see how thin that is. You can actually see the light through it when I run my fingers behind it. And it's all held together well. We didn't go to town beating it to death. We just hammered it kind of nice and gently until it was flat. And that's kind of what you're looking for when you hammer out a chicken cutlet. A huge thank you to Turo for sponsoring today's video. This one was easy to say yes to because it let me pull off something that my boys are not going to forget. When I found a car themed after one of my boys' favorite movies, the trip kind of started planning itself. I didn't want to roll up in just any rental. I wanted to roll up in this. And that's one of my favorite things about Turo. You're not stuck with whatever's left on the lot. You choose the exact car you want, not just a car class. Whether it's a memorable day trip like this one, or maybe you need something a little bit bigger to take the family on vacation, or you're looking for something economical and practical just to get around for a few days. You pick what actually fits. And renting on Turo is so easy. I typed in where we were headed, I used the filters to find exactly what I was after, and I booked it. There's no lines, no rental counter, no or similar surprise when you show up. They even had add-ons like car seats, which I already have plenty of, but it's great to know if I ever needed. Picking it up was easy. The host left simple instructions, and we were on the road in minutes. We drove up to Gatlinburg, played around a mini golf, grabbed us a good meal, and the car made it an experience that was unforgettable. With Turo, you can choose the exact car you want, pick it up where it's most convenient for you, and keep it for as long as you need. For anyone traveling soon for summer, Turo is available at over 170 airports across the U.S. and Canada. You can also have it delivered to your home or your hotel, saving you time and making things super convenient. So before your next trip, make it easy on yourself and make it a trip that you'll actually remember. Scan the QR code on the screen or tap the link in my description to find your car on Turo, because Turo is the better way to rent. Whenever you need a car, rent a summer-ready car, not just a rental car. Okay, our cutlets are pounded out. We want a good crispy breading on them. Now, you can cook the chicken without breading. It's probably a healthier way for a healthier meal, but, I'm going to add a little bit of breading to it because I like the flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of breading to it because I like the flavor, if I can learn how to talk. Anyways, a little flour, some salt, some pepper. One of the things that kills good breading is not having enough salt or not having enough seasoning when you get to the breadcrumb portion, because that's what you're tasting. And if you don't get it salty enough, you're not going to taste any of the flavors or the seasonings. If you don't have the salt, you're not going to taste the garlic powder. Don't know why that works, but that's how it works. I got 2 eggs here. Mix a little bit of Dijon into our eggs, maybe a little more. And a little bit of water. A little water in there. Whisk this up really good. A little salt. Everybody needs a little salt. And now for the third stage, arguably the most important stage of the breading, is our breadcrumbs. So I'm going to drop my breadcrumbs in there, and then I'm going to add Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese starts giving us that crispy, crunchy breading that's just going to brown beautifully and have a lot more crisp than you just get out of fried flour or even the fried breadcrumbs. So we put a lot of Parmesan in, practically making a Parmesan crusted chicken breast here. Now I'm going to add a little bit of flavor in here, some garlic powder. And everything that I'm adding is down in the description. All of my recipes, all of the measurements, everything you need to recreate this is down in the description of every single video. Go to my videos, screenshot the description there, and cook to your little heart's content. A little bit of thyme. Thyme, I think, gets underrepresented in a lot of Italian food. People think, oh, I need parsley, oh, I need oregano, but they don't think about thyme as often as they should in American Italian cooking, not in Italian cooking. But in American Italian cooking, I think we leave out some of the important herbs. And here we go. Oh, yes. Mix this together real well. And we're going to add some salt and pepper to it. I've got my pepper grinder set really fine right now because I'm not trying to add big chunks of pepper, just a little bit of that flavor. Oh yeah, this is going to be good. We'll taste this here in a second. You should, when you taste this breadcrumb, just be able to eat the breadcrumb batter by itself and think, man, this would be amazing. I could eat a bowl of this. That's exactly the flavor I get from this. I could eat a bowl of nothing but this breading, which means it's going to be amazing chicken. So a 3-station breading is exactly what it sounds like. Station, liquid, dry station, finished cutlet. Let's start in with this. These cutlets really impress me because these are just beautifully thin. They're going to fry up so crispy, so golden, so quickly. Shake that bottom there. Pat this in here. We're going to pat this kind of firmly into this flour because the better this flour adheres to dry it all out, the better our final breading is going to adhere and give us that good breaded cutlet. Shake that free. Down into the egg wash. Now we have a wet hand and a dry hand. This hand is still dry. This hand is going to be wet. If you mix them up, you're backwards. So that is a beautiful wet cutlet. Wow, this thing is pounded very thin, as we want it to be. Hit that there. Shake it a little bit here, and now use my dry hand. I can scoop some of this dry up around it. I can always step a little more to the left if I need to use my dry hand. But if I get those mixed up, then I'm reaching across everything with my left hand. It's not near as fun. So just remember that when you're trying to keep a wet hand and dry hand. Shake that flat. Pat that down into this breading. We'll sprinkle some on top. Oh yes. Gonna be a beautiful cutlet. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at that shaggy breaded cutlet there. Throw that down. A little in there. Shake this flat again. Just go with the dry. Get it in all them folds there. Rub this thing down with flour. We want flour everywhere. You can't rub it really like this with this on it. But in the flour stage, if you need to work it in there, you can rub back and forth a little bit. It's just gonna, that anything moist is gonna stick to the flour and you're gonna get a good, solidly coated cutlet. Down to the egg wash. Gotta stir this one around a little bit because my bowl is too small. Go this way. There we go. A good egg wash on it. Down into the breadcrumbs. Scatter it over with a little bit here. Them down in there real good. Oh, this looks gorgeous. This truly looks gorgeous. This is the whole reason I started cooking right here. Food like this is what made me want to cook. Actually, one of my favorite first meals that I learned to cook out of a cookbook, actually off of the internet, but off of a recipe, was a chicken cutlet. And they were not smashed near as thin without falling apart. And they weren't near as flavorful as I make them now. But wow, there's something satisfying about a good chicken cutlet. Now let's clean this up. We'll do the rest of those later. I just need a couple of these for the video, and we'll meet you at the frying pan. So now I've got my neutral oil. We're going to drop some butter in it for flavor. Still could be a little hotter. We're going to let that heat up just a little bit. Olive oil works great. You can use beef tallow. If you use olive oil, use a high heat olive oil. And then butter just adds, in my opinion, just a little bit of flavor. And everybody needs a little flavor. The oil kind of helps the butter handle a little bit higher temperatures. That's a beautiful sizzle right there. If I walk into somebody's house and I hear that sound, I'm instantly hungry. There's something about that. Listen to that sizzle. It also makes me really want to cook. Lay the cutlet away from you. The oil will splatter, especially with the butter in there. I'm just going to do these one at a time because these are so big. Now over here I've set a pan with a rack in it. And you don't really want to do your cutlets on something that's not a rack. You lay them on a paper towel or something, and the bottom will stay a little bit more soggy. You lay them flat, the bottom is definitely going to be soggy. To keep them crispy, a rack is the secret. And all we're going to look here, I have a lot of oil in the pan. That makes it easier for us. What I'm going to do is watch right here around the edge. If you see kind of where it's white now, that'll start turning a golden brown. And when that starts turning a golden brown is when we know that this cutlet is ready to flip. Because this thing is super thin. So we're kind of at a little bit higher heat than normal. And that's going to let us just, once this outside is crispy and golden, that chicken inside is cooked. We go too long and it'll overcook. This is actually easier, in my opinion, than fried chicken, because with fried chicken, you've got those big juicy pieces sitting down there bubbling in that oil. And you've got to make sure that inside, especially down by the bone, is getting cooked by the time the outside doesn't burn. So this right here, all you're watching for is to cook this crispy outside coating, and your cutlet flips, other side cooks, and you're done. This is all golden brown right here. Now's the time to flip. So we'll grab, hopefully we remember where our tongs are. We'll grab this thing, flipping away from us. Lay the top down, go down. Look at that. That is perfectly golden, a perfect little chicken cutlet. You couldn't ask for more. And as soon as that other side hits this color, then we're truly finished. One of the easiest things you can throw together. And these cutlets can stack out here. They can stay warm in a warmer. They can stick on your pan while we're going to assemble that salad real quick. And this is great to serve for any kind of event, anything like that. It's lighter. It can be turned into a sandwich if you'd rather. There's so much you can do with it. But this right here is one of my favorite quick and easy meals that still feels light but filling. One beautiful cutlet. True perfection there. Let's get this beauty in here. Laying away. Beautiful bubble. Two beautiful, beautiful chicken cutlets. Now let's assemble our salad and make a plate. So, in my opinion, the breaded chicken cutlet is kind of the hearty, filling part of this meal. And this is the light and fresh part of the meal that makes it feel like it's not as heavy. It's acidic, it's bright, it adds a lot of color. And I'm not the kind of person that goes to a restaurant and orders something with a salad. But this right here really stands out. And 100%, if I ate this at a restaurant, I'd be ordering it a second time. Now, the first thing we're going to do is cut our tomatoes in half. We're just going to go through here. Probably have too many tomatoes down, so I'll have to move my hand. I do have too many tomatoes down. I will have to move my hand. Yep. Try not to cut any of your fingers when doing this. You can use the two lid trick. It's probably a little safer. And that's probably about 2 cups of arugula, about half a cup of sliced in half cherry tomatoes. And then we're going to squeeze some lemon in there, and possibly, I should have done this first. You know what would brighten this? Where's my zester? I think to myself, instead of just squeezing lemon juice, lemon zest would go great here. But I've already sliced my lemon in half. So we'll zest it backwards. Now, 2 different ways to slice a lemon. I used to always slice my lemons like this. And it looks nice and goes the way of the fruit, but you've got that membrane that it's not always as juicy as you want it. Squeeze one of those slices in there. But I saw a restaurant slice it like this, and this has become my new go-to way. And I don't know why I didn't notice it, but when it's sliced like this, and you have if you see the difference here, this has the membrane on it, so you don't always bust all the little juice things and get all the juice out, it seems like. And this one is sliced across, so it's way juicier when you squeeze it. So when I plate, if I'm going to put a lemon on the plate, like I will with this one, this is the way I'm doing it. And I think it's less likely to squeeze out and pop your eye. If you've ever had somebody sit beside you, get your eye with a little bit of lemon juice when they squeeze it over their fish. You know what I'm talking about. Now a little bit of flaky salt in the midst before I mix it. And then we'll top it with that as well. And some black pepper. Open this up a little bit coarser. Oh, that's good. And a drizzle of olive oil. I'm going to toss that, there we go, with a couple spoons. Or, better yet, I have another one of these guys. A couple test clicks to make sure they work. I got too little of a bowl to do this with, so I gotta use my tools. If I had a big silver bowl, I would just flip it. Hit with a little fresh cracked black pepper up top. A little bit of flaky sea salt right here. Ah, yes. I know what the salad needs is a little Parmesan, because everything needs a little Parmesan. We'll top it with Parmesan too. That'll be our little secret. People will wonder, why don't mine taste as good as his? Now, let's make a plate. Now I'm going to show you two different ways that I'm going to plate this. And one is the way I would plate it for my kids and for my family, because as we go through life, listen to that, so crispy, so perfect. If I hand them a whole chicken cutlet, they're going to have stuff all over the place trying to cut it up. So I pre-cut everything of theirs, and it makes it easier, and it lets me control portions a lot easier. Oh, that's truly gorgeous. And you say, oh no, is that the same knife you used to cut the raw chicken? Yes, it is. I washed it while you weren't watching. It's a sharp knife. Those are hard to come by. A little of our salad, and for our kids, I'm going to put that on the bottom because they're going straight for the chicken anyways. Then I'm going to rest my chicken across it this way. There we go. Beautiful. Because that's what I do. Pull a few of these tomatoes up here where they're visible. Hit it with a little bit of Parmesan, sprinkle of Parmesan, and a little cracked black pepper on the salad part, and then a little of our flaky sea salt. Everything is better with salt. And then now we have a beautiful plate that was so fast and easy for the kids. Now, for me personally, say I had a woman in my life that I loved very much, and she had borne 6 children for me, and I wanted to make something special for her, I'm going to do it a little bit different. And I feel that it's just a better way to do it. We're going to put that chicken down, big cutlet down, and I'm going to mix my salad up and put it over top of the cutlet. I like it being like that. A few of these tomatoes on top here. Again with the parm, especially because I know that woman I love loves parm. So we'll give her some extra parm. A little black pepper. She does not like black pepper, so we keep that a little salt. I mean, she likes a little black pepper, but she don't like too much pepper. Then a fresh drizzle of some olive oil. A lemon wedge for the road. Let's put that right here. When I was on 100 Cooks, let me tell you, if you ever cook for Nick DiGiovanni, he does not like a lemon wedge with his food. So do not do that. I didn't, but I saw some people do it, and he was not happy about it. If Nick DiGiovanni ever comes to eat at my house, he's probably getting a lemon wedge with this one. So now that we finally finished, I have 2 beautiful plates. Cut a piece of this cutlet in half. Wow. For a cutlet so crispy, how is it so tender at the same time? A little bit of the lettuce, a little tomato, and piece of the chicken. Putting this into words is so hard because you see this plate and it truly doesn't do it justice. The photo looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, but the plate tastes 10 times better. You've got a crispy chicken cutlet that's well seasoned. It's got all those Italian flavors in there. And this one right here truly is one of my masterpieces, I believe. No matter how you plate it, guaranteed one bite of this and you will thank me later.